Hello everyone, this is Ben over at ERP Connect, and in this video we are going to be walking you through our advanced RMA and case management extension for D365 Business Central. As with all of our apps, if you have not done so already, go ahead out to AppSource and download your 30-day free trial, after which you can go ahead and generate your demo key right here. This will allow you to use our app for free for 30 days, after which you can reach out to anyone on our team to purchase your yearly license or head directly over to our website to make your purchase online. So now that we have the administrative pieces taken care of, let's jump right into the setup. So the first place you'll need to go for advanced RMA is right here on the screen. You can search advanced RMA setup and it will pop you up right here. So I talked about the demo key earlier, and the first thing we're actually going to look at today is the email templates. So go ahead and click on email templates. And right here, you'll see a bunch of different things. So we can now create email templates for sales returns, purchase returns, replacement sales and purchase orders, support cases, which customer might not have anything to return, but they're inquiring for more information, have comments, questions, concerns, you name it. And then of course, our past due reminders, which we'll get into the demo. So simply come in here, set up the codes and the names, set up your rich text HTML email template here with some different wildcards that we'll go over through our demo, a subject, and then you can enable that template for one or many different documents that we'll go through here in the demo today. So simply set these up and you should be good to go as we jump into our next pieces. So let's click close here and come back into our setup. So the first thing in the setup is going to be this general information. So set up a RMA case number series. This, we just have RMA here. We'll number the cases as we open them. And again, we'll get into that into the demo. If you are charging a restock fee, you can do that here in this second box here. I've got 43000 is my revenue account there. And then you can also add a description, which when we generate our cases and our RMAs, and there is a return processing fee, that's what will be put there. Like some of our other apps, we have a test email address. So that test email address here, as we go through things, is just going to send them to myself. And then this next field is definitely one of the most important in the general tab. So it's going to be that default location option. So the different options we have here in the drop down, we have our location from source document. So wherever that sales order was from, it's just going to return it to that same location. This next one, return the location card return location. So again, it's going to look at the original location from the order, and then that location will actually have a return location that's different that they can put on it. So maybe we have Dallas and Tampa in our demo. So maybe we have Dallas returns and Tampa returns. So again, it's going to look at the location from the original order, and then whatever the return location is on that, that's where it will return it. This next one's this default location. So every return order just going to that same location. So maybe we just have one returns location that everything's going to go to. So you could do that here. And if again, I select default location, you can see now here, the default location in our case is Dallas, but I could switch that to return. So now anytime anything is returned, it's going to that default location of returns. So kind of to finish out that first column, that's definitely the most important piece there as to which location that you're going to. So let's jump over to this next piece. So we've got the auto release replacement sales order. So again, as you're going through those RMAs, do you want to auto release those new replacement sales orders directly to the warehouse to be fulfilled? So I've got that turned on. We'll see how that works in our demo here today. These next two are both going to be date formulas. So we've got our estimated close date formula and an auto close date formula. So again, let's say I open a case today. In 30 days, that's going to be our estimated close date. And again, we can do some emails off of that. And then the second one is in 44 days, in this case, our 30 for the estimate plus the auto close. So in 44 days, in this case, the case will actually auto close. And again, we'll show you how some of those emails can work in order to both notify people internally as well as externally that their case is going to be closed. This next one, include label in sales return order email. So again, as we go through those emails, I would recommend turning this on. This is going to provide the customer with something that when they send it back, we can scan. We've got some information about what the return order and the sales order was, what the items are and things like that. So our warehouse can more efficiently and more easily process it. And then this last thing here, this RMA label report ID, that's just our custom report here that we're using in RMA setup to kind of streamline those labels. So in terms of the general tab, that's it. Let's jump down next to our automation tab. So this automation tab will be the last bit of setup we need to do before getting into our demonstration. And the first thing you will need is to define which batch disposal write-offs will go to. In this case, we're just going to use default. And what this is doing is it's a facility for doing automatic disposals of an item based on the reason code or a checkbox that can be flagged on the return orders saying, hey, we got this item back. It's no good. We're just going to dispose of it and get rid of it. So we're having those inventory adjustments automatically be booked when the necessary flags are marked for disposal on the transaction. So it's a little bit about disposing. We'll get into that more in our demo. The next thing is this email assigned. So in this case, when a return order is received, it will email the original person that's assigned to that RMA or that case and let them know, hey, these items have been returned from your customer. This helps when replacement sales orders need to be sent to your customers and you're waiting on the original items to be received into your warehouse, those defective items or those return items, before sending that replacement order back out to your customers. So going back up to this top section of auto release replacement orders, this is kind of where they play hand in hand, right? So we have to decide between our three options. Number one, are we going to create the replacement order right away, and we're not going to wait for the items to come back, which you could leave this on and it's just going to create it and send it. Not the most popular option, but people do use it. The second option is creating the replacement order right away, but not releasing it until the other one gets in there, which in this case, you'd want that option off. And then that's when that email comes into play. We get that email. Good, they go look at it and now they can release it to the warehouse to be sent on. Or the third one, we're waiting for the items to get there to create the replacement order in the first place, in which case you could turn this on. It doesn't really matter as much, but you can turn this on or off. If you turn it on, it's going to automatically release it when that return order comes in because you've gotten that email and it's been processed. So just three different ways you can do things, but this email, again, main point there is somebody's going to get the email. Then if they need to take action on it, they can do so. The next option is this customer email. So email customer, very similar. When the sales order return comes in and we get those items, you can email your customer telling them, hey, we got your stuff. It's going to be reviewed in the next 3 days. We'll see if there's any issues. And if there are no issues, we can send the replacement out in the next 5 to 7 business days, or you'll receive it in 5 to 7 business days, something like that. Just indicating, hey, we received your stuff. We'll update you on the next steps, but your replacement order should be on the way, assuming nothing is wrong with it. All right, these last two over on the right are vendor return and our RMA close. So starting with the vendor return fields, if we send items back to our vendors, basically how long are we waiting before we follow up with them asking where our credit memo is? So here we're just defining a date range, in this case 30 days, and then we're following up saying, hey, where's our credit memo? And you can add that email, rich text HTML, for whatever you want that email to say. And then finally, our RMA close templates. So this is when you are emailing your customer telling them that we have not received their items yet. They've opened up a case or an RMA. We're still waiting. Above, you can see that 30 days and 14 days. So again, we're going to wait 30 days before we kind of reach out to them and say, hey, where's our stuff? And then 14 more days, we're just going to go ahead and automatically close that out. And again, we have different emails that we can send indicating to the customer that those activities are going to happen. So that's it for the setup. Pretty straightforward, just a few sections here. We're going to go through those email templates. You're going to run through that general and automation tab, and then you're ready to go. So with that, let's jump right into the demo, starting with our case list. So come right up here to the search and type in case list, and it should say RMA at the end, and we'll go ahead and get started right here. All right, so you can start a new case directly from this window with one of two options. So the first option is click new up here, and you can just manually create a case, add some information, add the notes of the case. Or number two, you can come over here and do a drag and drop. So I'm gonna use this email that I've got right here. Somebody bought a keyboard, it's not working. Can you please help me? Sure, great. I'm going to take this from my email and I'm going to drag and drop it right here. And what this is going to do, as you can see here, is it is going to create a brand new case for us. So note that all tickets start as support only, which you can see right here, because we don't know what's wrong yet, and there may not be any return action needed, like the one we're gonna walk through right here. But in any case, we still need to start it. So first, we're gonna come down here, our estimated close date. We can just put out to next week. It's created by me. It's gonna be assigned to me as well. So let's assign that to Ben. The status is just going to be open right here. We'll get into this later, but if you have a restocking fee, you can put that here. the customer number. So let's do Snow and Ice LLP. We can add a contact. We can add an email. So let's do that real quick. I'll just add this right here. And you can see over here that the email that I had just drag and dropped in, it brought all of the content from that email here in order to create my case or my RMA. So, hey, Ben, just bought this keyboard. It's not working. Can you please help me out? So now we've assigned it to myself. We've picked the customer and the contact that's going to be going back and forth with myself since I'm the one that's assigned. And if you don't have a customer, maybe we just have a contact, we don't know who it's for yet, you can just put that contact in there and start working with it. And in this case, maybe the customer just forgot to plug it in or needs new batteries or something like that. There's no real issues. What we can do is we can either add comments in here, or we can come down here to this timeline. We can again see when it was created. We can go ahead here for the customer and log a note or an email, or we can even send an email directly out of here, which is going to be when we use those email templates that we saw earlier. But let's just log a note real quick. I'm going to say no real issues. Customer just forgot to plug the keyboard in. Case has been resolved. Something easy like that, right? I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it. And now you can see here a date timestamp. You can see that I put a note in here that there weren't any issues. It's been resolved, and I can go ahead and come back up to process, and I can close the RMA. So now it's also going to create another activity in here saying that it was closed, who closed it, what time was it, what was the date, and again, it's just putting a note here that it was closed. So that is it for an easy one, right? You just add some information, tag who it's tagged to, you bring that in from the drag and drop. We'll get into this in the next one when we actually have some items. And then if you did need to attach any additional documents, you could do so here. So let's go back into our case list, and I'm going to hide this real quick. We can see that that one that we just did should be on today. So we've got this one right here. That was that support only, and the status has been closed. I've also created some of these views over here. So I've got closed cases, which is going to be all these, open cases. I don't have any right now. We'll have a few in a second, or just all of the cases. And then this RMA number is just from that RMA number series from the setup. So let's now increase the level of complexity. And let's say this time someone reaches out and they do need to process a return, and we will start with another drag and drop. So the document has now been drag and dropped, and we'll notice that it created another case here for us, support only again to start. And you may recognize this email from invoice and statement delivery. So we delivered them, this information via invoice and statement delivery, and they responded to it saying the Surface 8 that I received was defective on this order number. Please send me a new one, right? So again, just dragging and dropping, it's creating the support case for us to start. And this support case is going to require a return. So under the RMA type, since they requested a replacement, we are going to do a sales RMA because we're going to go find that sales order and start to process a return against it. Now, there are other options here. So we talked about support on the last kind of easier example. We're going to run a sales RMA today. Basically, we sent something to our customer. Our customer had a complaint or something or needs a replacement for their defective item. So we're going to create a sales RMA to process off of that original order. You can also do just a purchase RMA on the vendor side if we want to return something to our vendor, or if you're doing special orders and you've got a sales order linked to a purchase order that you bought from one of your vendors, we could use this sales purchase RMA option as well. So those are the 4 options. All of them give you kind of different benefits or allow you to do different things. But again, since we're just doing the sales side of things, we're going to focus on the sales RMA for today. So let's do the estimated close date as the 27th. Let's assign it to myself. Let's put a 5% return fee there. This is going to be, we know, for Snow and Ice because that's who responded to our email. Maybe it was just this main contact at their company. And again, we talked about some of those before and how you can toggle between the different ones. But just to get this started, kind of same thought process on the header information there. So let's scroll down to the RMA items down here about halfway, and you'll notice that there's nothing there yet. What we need to do is click Manage and Add from Sales Invoice. And what this is going to do now is it's going to allow us to look through these. I'm going to filter or sort by the document number. It's already sorted by or filtered by the customer number, and we're showing items here. And it was order, what was the order number? 103697. So it's this one right here. For that Surface 8, that's the one that was defective. I'm going to click OK. and it's going to bring it into this first line. Now, the return location, if you remember, that was at our setup. So we said everything's going to that returns location. The reason code here, I can select. I've got a little hierarchy here. So I'm going to say it's a replacement and it was defective. So we've got the defect there. We're going to return one of them. We sold it for $1,300. We don't have a sales return order number because we have not processed that sales order return yet. We'll get to that in a second here. The auto dispose of the item. So when that item comes back, we're just going to get rid of it because it was defective. If you remember from the setup, we had a batch to do that, create all the item journals and all that good stuff. I'm going to click that there. And this is going to be the replace sales item. So when we get it, we're also going to replace it and send them a new one. This replacement item number, I'm going to leave it blank. What that's going to do is it's just going to send them another 1017, which is our Surface 8. Maybe we sent them the wrong item. So you could click in here, send them a different item when you process that sales return order. Again, just leave it blank if you want to send the same one. And then we've got a bunch of vendor stuff over here that we're going to skip for now. We didn't select any of the vendor or the purchasing side of things, but if you were also processing a return back to the vendor that you bought this from, you would fill out kind of all of the similar information here, or select it from the purchase invoice button right here. And again, it's going to kind of populate similar to how we populated on the sales order side. So let's come down to the last two things down here, the timeline and the attached documents. It's going to be the same as before. Again, you can add different things to the timeline. So you can add calls, emails, notes, things like that. You can attach different documents or images or anything like that. And kind of at a high level again, that's how we're going to get started before moving into processing this actual order. So the big value here, as you can see, is that everything is linked, right? So out of box, there's not really a way to link your return orders to the replacement orders, or link the sales return orders to the purchase return orders. In ours, you kind of get that one-stop shop. Everything's being linked to each other. And additionally, we've now started to process a case. And if somebody were to call in from this company and say, hey, you know, something else in this box was defective, or we have another order with something defective, you can kind of on the fly, as long as this isn't finished yet, as long as it's in progress, you can add to this case, which again, a lot of other tools that we've been seeing don't allow that flexibility. So again, as long as this case is still open, you can add additional things and kind of process them all at once. So with that, let's go ahead and start to actually process this. So we just click this process, create sales return order. Are you sure you want to create it? Yes. And now we should have a sales return order number right here. You'll also notice the status updated here to waiting on receipt. So again, we have created the return order, but we have not received anything yet. So I'm going to click on this button, go to sales return order, and this should show us everything. So it automatically created that for us. We see the header information. We see that item that they should be returning to us. We have the GL account that we had in our setup, 43000. That is going to be our return processing fee of 5%. So we can see there that $65 for our restocking or reprocessing fee. Again, that was in our setup. And we should have the reason code as well. So we've got the defect right there. Perfect. And then the returns location. So now we wait, right? The customer takes a few days to send us their stuff. We can, again, come back here, look in the first column, like I mentioned, that it's waiting on our receipt. And this is going to, again, track what we've received and what we haven't received. So let's say, again, we're waiting a couple days. Finally, we get that box back in, and I can come into our sales return order, which this is just going to be the out-of-box Business Central sales return order. And I'm just going to go to the sales order return 1 and click process and receive return order RMA. So this is going to be our enhanced receiving screen for RMAs that we added. And our warehouse could use this as the box comes back in, similar to how other companies are using our distribution control center tool, right? So they can come in here and print the checklist. Maybe they need to notify the agent because this isn't the right item, or there's a problem with it, or something else in the RMA needs to be processed. It's going to work like advanced notifications, where they're getting an email, they get a link, they can jump back into the sales return order directly here. If they want to attach a picture of what came in the box, or a picture of the checklist that they've checked off, things like that, they can do so here. Or if everything's already good to go, or they've gone through all those tasks, they can come in here and click post. and go ahead and receive this, right? Because we have now received all these items. We're going to receive it back into that returns location. So I'm going to click OK here. It's going to process this. And then it's going to say from our earlier setup that item 1017 has been set to auto dispose. This is going to remove the item from inventory, do all the adjustments and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to go ahead and continue? And we will jump back into Business Central here. And this has now been received into inventory and disposed of, but not invoiced. So if I come over here, the return quantity received is been filled out, and the return quantity to invoice is still 1 and then -1 for the fee here for the reprocessing. So with that, now I should get 2 emails in this case. One for me because I'm the agent, and then the other one for the customer. So technically 2 emails going to 2 different people. But since it was my email in both, I am receiving both of these emails here. So let's look at the first one. So this is the email that would have gone to the customer. Again, this is all from that setup. So, hey, we received your return order. We're going to process in the next 3 days, let you know if there's any issues. If there's no issues, we will process and ship your replacement and issue a credit amendment if no replacement was requested. So that's the email that the customer would get. And again, you can completely customize that however you would like. I'm going to come back in here, and now this is the customer, or this is the email that I received as the agent working on the case, right? So following RMA has been received, blah, blah, blah. I can click on this link, and it is going to open me directly back up into that RMA, and I can now see the items. Let's hold on right here for this to load. I should be able to, when this loads, see the items that have been received but not credited. So let's go ahead down here. Again, this is opening that whole case. So perfect, that sales disposition status. I have received all of these, but not credit them. And I can see, again, all of the information here for the sales return order that's linked to. Again, all of that information that we originally pulled in on this order. So now you can review it and decide what to do next. Likely you're going to go ahead and credit it. So you can go back to that sales return order by clicking this button here. And you can go ahead and finalize this. So just go ahead and click post, receive, and invoice is fine. It's just going to invoice because there's nothing left to receive. And we are all good to go. So the return order has been posted. It's been posted as that credit memo, moved to a posted sales credit memo. I don't need to review that. I'm all good to go. And now let's jump back into our RMA. So everything has been returned, everything has been received, and everything has been credited, but we have not issued the replacement. So now we need to issue that replacement order. So again, I'm going to come up here into process and click create replacement sales order. Are you sure you want to create it? I'm going to click yes. And now we have a replacement order here, and I can go to the replacement sales order. All right, since we had the setting of auto release to warehouse, this has already been released. Again, if you're using Distribution Control Center, the warehouse can now begin that process. You'll notice that flag right here, release to warehouse has been turned on. And in the lines, it indicates via the comments here that it's a replacement order for the RMA number that we're working on. And from here, we can go ahead and ship and invoice this because the original order had been received in. We credited that. So we do need a new invoice here because we're kind of sending a whole new order out to them. So I'm going to go ahead and post this, ship and invoice this. And now we should be all good to go. I'm going to click no here. It's going to open my case back up here for my RMA. And all I need to do is come back up to the top. I'm going to put this in edit mode, and then we can mark this as completed. So let's come down here and let's close the RMA. So that status now is updated to closed, and we are all good to go. So with that, that's a wrap for our advanced RMA and case management tool. We hope that you liked what you saw, and we really encourage you, if you have any questions, to please reach out to anyone on our team. We would be more than happy to help. As you know, we have a lot of other great apps in our Business Central toolbox, so we'd highly recommend you going out to bctoolbox.com to give those a look. And again, if you have any questions on this app specifically or any of the other apps in our toolbox, please feel free to drop anybody on our team a message or drop a comment directly below in this video. We're always happy to help, and we look forward to talking to everybody soon. Thanks again for tuning in today.